Hi guys, I just sent out our week 2 email with instructions, but I wanted to also talk to you already about our first discussion in week 2, and this is where you get to practice narrative writing. So last week you did some journaling for me, some free writing, and I'm still in the process of reading those. And narrative is an important skill to know how to do in order to tell a story. So I've already seen some great examples here, but I also want to point out that I know some of you are very intimidated by posting your work for others to read. But we all, even me, make mistakes. And the reason that you're in school is to learn how to improve upon those mistakes. So you'll notice that oftentimes I will point out errors in this discussion area. It's not just to pick on the particular student who made the error, but it is to help everyone. So it's a good idea that you read all of my comments, because I might read 3 posts that all have issues with commas, but I only show it to one student. So as I click on each one and read through each thing, I oftentimes will see the same kind of pattern of problems. So I wanted to give you guys some examples. So what I did this morning is I read through all of the discussion posts that have already been made, and I opened up Word, which I don't know why it's not opening now. Let me minimize this. Okay, so I opened up Word, and I copied and pasted sections of many of your writings to show you how we all make mistakes and to hopefully show you how to improve upon those mistakes. So these are just some things that I noticed on quite a few papers. So I'm going to make this larger for you. Okay, number 1, we want to make sure that we're using the right word, because if we mistakenly use the wrong word, it can totally change the meaning of our sentence. So there are a lot of what we call commonly confused words, words like there, and there. So T-H-E-R-E is location. T-H-E-I-R is people. T-H-E-Y'(R-E) is a contraction of they are. That was really fast, but you know what I mean, right? There are a lot of words out there that sound the exact same but are spelled differently. Now, this is one of them. To wake up each and every day is truly a blessing. And we actually had 2 days there. So we know that that is a typo, so let's get rid of that. Now, the word everyday is still incorrect here. There is everyday versus everyday. When you separate it, it's an action. So I wake up every day. That is an action. If I put it together, it's describing a noun. Like, this sweater is an everyday outfit or piece of clothing for a teacher, because it's describing the sweater. It's describing the noun instead of an action. Do you see the difference there? So everyday, 1 word versus everyday, 2 words. So in this particular sentence, it should be 2 words because it's an action. I'm waking up every day. Second example here, let's see, which one was this one? Yeah, maybe the closest you've allowed life's magical energy to enter your life. Here it is. We have closet. So this should be closest, right? And that's just something that you have to carefully look for as you're reading. It's not going to tell you that it's a spelling error, because it wasn't. It was closet instead of closest. So you just want to make sure that you use the right word. Now, what is a fragment? A fragment is an incomplete sentence. So a sentence has to have a subject, so noun, and a verb. This particular sentence, if you read it, doesn't have that. It actually is missing a subject, a person. Living in a neighborhood that there's 75% of kids either end up dealing drugs or end up dead or in jail. Okay. It's a mouthful because there's missing punctuation, but it's also not complete. We don't know what you mean. So let's start with a commonly confused word. So living in a neighborhood where there. So this is a location, not a person, where there are 75% of kids. Let's see, how about this? Living in a neighborhood where 75% of kids either end up dealing drugs and or end up dead or in jails. Okay, so now we've fixed the punctuation and the word, but it's still a fragment because we don't have a subject. So people who live in a neighborhood where 75% of kids either end up dealing drugs and or end up dead or in jail, do not have a lot of options. I had to end something here. So this is the verb, the action. This is the subject. The way the sentence was before, it didn't have either, so there wasn't a complete thought there. I hope that makes sense. Now, on the other hand, we have run-on sentences. And basically all that means is you have a subject and a verb, but you don't have enough punctuation. So it goes on, and we can't take a breath because a punctuation mark gives us a breath. And it doesn't have to be a long sentence. It just has a sentence that's missing punctuation. So it was the state championships, and we both had already been recognized as champs. Right before our match, we had just been on stage with the mayor getting our championship medals and standing in the ring for pictures. She was recognized as the adult state champion, and I was the youth state champion. Okay, so this actually has a lot of things going on in it. And we do have some commas, which give us a nice pause. However, a stronger punctuation mark than a comma is a semicolon. A semicolon goes in between two complete sentences that relate to one another. So it was the state championships, and we both had already been recognized as champs. Strong pause. Right before our match, comma, we had just been on stage with the mayor, comma, getting our championship medals and standing in the ring for pictures. I would say she here because we're starting a new idea, but who is she? Because it's not in this sentence or this sentence. That's where the pronoun gets a little confusing. So we might have her name there, was recognized as the adult state champion, comma, and I was the youth state champion. All right, so now we have fixed those missing punctuation marks to make it a little bit stronger. And now I've got a couple of examples of something that I saw in a lot of papers, so I wanted to give you a few different ones. Obviously, we can run our things through Word to find spelling errors, but you can also just check it right there in the classroom. And I'm sorry, you can hear my toddler. Can we please go help him? Okay, so obviously here, we just need to take out the Y and we have the right word, but let's look at the sentence in total. Even though all of my family members from both sides did not show up, I still was happier than ever. Again, it's a bit of a run-on because we started with an introductory phrase. We have something that introduces the main point. So, even though all of my family members from both sides did not show up, comma, I was still happier than ever. Same thing here. We have an introductory phrase. On Father's Day of this year, comma, my dog, comma, Precious, comma, was in labor. We often have commas around a person or animal's name because I could just take Precious out. I could just say my dog was in labor. So Precious is background information, so it needs the commas. Right here we need a comma because this is the introductory phrase that introduces the main point of the sentence. However, notice Word has it underlined, and that's because this is a proper noun. So Father's Day, we need the apostrophe to show that it belongs to something, but again, it's a proper noun, so it needs to be capitalized, just like Christmas or Thanksgiving or Mother's Day. Those things are titles, so they do need to be capitalized. And my last one here, as a young teenager in high school, introductory phrase, I is a proper noun, so it always needs to be capitalized. And that's something I see all the time in discussions, and I think it's because we're typing so quickly that we just forget to press shift and capitalize that I. Please make sure that anytime you do use I, it is capitalized. And just to point you in the right direction for our formal writing, we're going to change all contractions to write them out in a formal tone. So instead of wasn't, it's was not. I'm is I am. Can't is cannot, etc., etc. Now, I don't mind that so much in the discussions, but I just wanted to kind of remind you for our formal papers. Okay, that's probably a long enough little lecture on grammar. We'll be working on grammar many times throughout our course, but I just wanted to kind of show you a few tips right now to hopefully improve your writing over the next week. So if you have questions about these things, please let me know.